Hey, what's going on? It's Brad here, and I want to talk about saving money. Now, before you click away, I'm not about to preach to you about how you're buying too many lattes. I think we're all tired of hearing that advice, and I would argue it's just not effective. So if you'll stick with me for a few minutes, I want to tell you why an obsessive focus on saving might be holding you back from building real wealth. Now, look, saving money is obviously an important part of any good financial plan, right? You never want to be spending 100% of your income. You want to be putting a certain amount aside for emergencies and larger purchases. And of course, ideally, you'll also be investing. But there are multiple approaches to achieve those goals, and I think many of us are focusing on the wrong things. There's this old school personal finance advice that says if you just stop buying coffee and make it at home, you'll save thousands of dollars over your lifetime. And sure, mathematically, that's true. If you skip your $5 coffee every day, that's about $150 a month or $1,800 a year. But here's the real question. Do you think that is what's standing between you and financial freedom? Is that the reason that some people never build wealth? I don't think so. The real issue is that focusing on tiny expenses like coffee tricks us into thinking that we're making real substantial progress, when in reality, we're just stressing over pennies while ignoring the larger dollar moves that actually matter. So what should you do instead? Rather than obsessing over cutting small expenses like coffee and appetizers, focus on the three things that will actually move the needle in your financial life. Increase your income, optimize your big expenses, and invest more money. Let's break these down in a little more detail, starting with increasing your income. Here's the reality that many of the financial gurus out there are failing to acknowledge. There's a hard limit to how much you can save. You can only cut your expenses so far before you hit a wall. Even if you lived like a monk, eliminated every possible luxury, and optimized every purchase down to the penny, you still need to pay for housing, food, and basic necessities. That's your floor. You might be able to cut down to the bare minimum, but let's be real. How much can you actually save by downsizing your life to the point of misery? Maybe you're putting away $500 a month, $1,000 a month, but again, you're eventually going to hit a limit where it's mathematically impossible to save another dollar. This is where most people get stuck. They focus so hard on the little things like bringing lunch from home, canceling subscriptions, and limiting their intake of avocado toast, that they start losing sight of the bigger picture. Instead of just squeezing every dollar out of your budget, let's talk about how to make that budget expand. Because while your ability to save has a hard ceiling, your ability to earn is practically limitless. There's literally no cap to how much you can make. So instead of fixating on coffee, think about how you can make an extra $500, $1,000, $5,000 per month. That could be negotiating a raise, switching employers, picking up a freelance skill, starting a business, or investing in some kind of side hustle. When you start seeing additional income, suddenly that coffee doesn't seem like such a big deal. And maybe the coffee is what fuels you as you're going through that process. Increasing your income is going to have a much bigger impact on your ability to build wealth than any of those small daily purchases. Next, let's talk about optimizing your big expenses. Here's the reality. Most people's biggest expenses are not coffee and appetizers, right? Most of our biggest expenses fall into three main categories. Housing, meaning your rent or mortgage. Transportation, meaning car payments, gas, car insurance. And recurring fixed costs. Things like utilities, subscriptions, and other types of insurance. If you want to save a meaningful amount of money, don't get distracted by the little expenses. Focus on the $3,000 rent payment, the $600 car payment, or the $300 insurance bill. Can you renegotiate your rent or consider moving to a more affordable place? Can you drive a reliable used car instead of taking on an expensive lease or car loan, or even refinance your existing car loan to get a better interest rate? Can you shop around for better insurance rates or cut unnecessary subscriptions that you don't actively use? These types of optimizations can save you thousands of dollars a year without having to miss out on things that actually bring you joy, like grabbing a coffee or going to dinner with friends. Finally, of course, we have to talk about investing. The real key to wealth isn't saving, it's investing. If you're cutting expenses but not investing, you're essentially just hoarding cash that's going to be eaten away by inflation over time. Your goal should be to get as much money as possible working for you. That means maxing out your 401k match if that's available to you, because that is literally free money. Investing in a Roth IRA, which allows your money to grow tax-free, and buying index funds instead of leaving too much cash sitting in a savings account. Now, there is value in building up a decent cash emergency fund that's easily accessible in a savings account, but I'd really recommend investing everything beyond that, because the more time your money spends in the market, the more it will grow. And again, as your money sits in the bank, it's just being eaten away by inflation. If you can invest just $500 a month starting in your 20s, you could have well over $1 million by the time you retire. This is what actually builds wealth, not skipping your morning coffee. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying you should spend recklessly. We all need to have some self-awareness about our spending habits, and there may be areas where you recognize that you're spending too much and you need to cut back. But please don't fall into the trap of obsessing over tiny expenses while ignoring the big optimizations that could actually make you rich. Instead, take a balanced approach. Go ahead and spend money on the small things you enjoy. If coffee makes your morning better, just buy the coffee. Focus on increasing your income and cutting costs in areas that actually matter. And make sure you're investing consistently so your money grows over time. So there you have it. Cutting coffee is not going to make you rich. Focusing on your income, big expenses, and investments is going to have a much greater impact, and you'll probably be happier along the way. If you found this video helpful, or if it made you think about your approach to money, it would mean a lot to me if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.